Hello, Forecaster here again, and we are back for episode 178. And as you can see, I am out here by the railway where the high-speed bridge ends currently. So this is as far as I have constructed it currently. And as you can see, I haven't even reached the oil pump yet. Still a ways to go to get to uh, the landmass, which isn't an island like I initially thought. So building this is pretty slow and tedious. Lots of blocks to place and such. And I would have used the robot earlier, but I couldn't because of a problem. And that problem was resupplying the robot with blocks. Because with the first bridge, I was fortunate enough to be able to support the bridge on the side of the block. Let's say the robot was on this height, the height of the tracks, or this block. It would have to be able to travel through here to be able to go back to the beginning to get more blocks to build with when it runs out. And that is how it previously worked, and it was able to work because I was able to support the bridge on the side of this block, so this could be clear. But with this bridge, I can't do that because the blocks I would need to place the supports on both have tracks on them on both sides. So, and the tracks can't support blocks at all. So if I put a block above the tracks and it isn't supported by anything below it, it would fall down and crush the tracks. And I don't really want to remove the tracks to be able to put a support block down, because I would have to do that quite a bit, because there are a lot of pillars in this bridge design, because it's not very efficient. It doesn't really need to be, because I already have a bridge under to support it, so that is fine, and the posts are really cheap. But that prevented me from using the robot, so I've been building this by hand up until now. But recently I had kind of an epiphany of an idea that is going to let me use the robot anyway. And that idea involves boxes. Now the boxes, as you probably know by now, if you've followed this series, they allow you to store identical items in a single item. So this box, for example, contains 8 of these post blocks. And since the post blocks are identical, they can't have varying data, you can easily store a lot of them in a small space. I have this stack here, which contains 8 times 64 boxes, which is quite a bit. This stack of 8 boxes containing 8 wooden posts, of course, contains 64 posts, which is actually 2 stacks of posts in one slot, and there's just 8 of the boxes. So that is handy. And the idea was that perhaps, just perhaps, the robot would be able to use these boxes to store a large amount of items. And the idea hinged on the robot being able to unpack the boxes. Now, you can of course unpack them by crafting, which is a way to automate this, of course. However, you can also unpack the items by right-clicking. Now, I think the boxes are slightly intelligent in this manner. So, with something, and I think the difference is in how the items stack. So, with something like these posts that can stack multiple items in a single slot, it will unpack one box at a time. Or maybe it hinges on how the boxes are stacked. So if I right-click with this box now, it is going to go away. And I now have 12 posts instead of 4 in my inventory. So with things like these posts a stack that have a stack size larger than 1, you get 8 items per right click. I found that with something like maybe these tools here, like say if I had 8 chainsaws in a box, not sure why I would ever want that, but let's say I did. The chainsaw only stacks up to 1. It doesn't. You can't stack chainsaws. In that case, when I right-click with a box containing chainsaws, I would only get a single chainsaw. It wouldn't unpack all 8. And I've found that to be convenient when packing things like maybe water bottles or other things like consumables that you only want one of at a time. So that's handy. Now, the robot can actually use items. So I figured if the robot can right-click with a box and get the items correctly, then I could use that to provide the robot with items. So I'm going to put the robot down. Now, let's see. We're going to find the starting point. So we're going to go 7 blocks out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here's where the next pillar is going to be, so I'm going to put the robot here. So the robot has a tool slot, and you can put items in the slot, pretty much anything, but it's mostly made for tools, of course, and this is what the robot uses when it attacks, and it also has a use method which will right-click with the item, and if the item is compatible, I'm not entirely sure how that works, of course, but generally it will activate the right-click ability of the items. And I found, by testing, that when the robot right-clicks with a box, the items from the box are put into the robot's inventory correctly. And that is very handy. Basically, that means that we can use the robot to build the rest of this bridge, and I can bring it items in boxes, stacks of boxes, and I don't have to unpack the boxes myself, which would take up a lot of inventory space or require dumping them into a drawer or something. Instead, I just give the robot a stack of boxes, and then we're going to program it to use just the slot, and when it runs out of items, it will right-click with its box stack, which will unpack 8 more wooden posts, and they will go into the robot's regular inventory, which is this, and it will try to put them in the highest slot possible, or lowest slot possible. This would be slot 1. So they would try to go in here first. So the only thing we need to do is update the segment program to unpack boxes when it runs out of items. And if it runs out of boxes, which we should be able to detect, then we're going to have the robot stop and wait for more. Now the only problem is going to be power, because this robot doesn't have a solar panel or a generator upgrade, because there wasn't room for that, those things. So probably what I'm going to have to do is, when it runs out of power, I'm going to have to bring out a charger and some kind of battery box from Industrial Craft, of course, and I'm going to have to put it down next to the robot or behind it or something, power the charger with the batteries, and recharge the robot, then collect the things again, and the robot will move on. And I think that is going to be a lot more efficient. It's also not going to require the robot to travel back all the way to the beginning to get more blocks. Now, once this straightaway is done, the robot or the railway turns kind of slithery, and at that point, I'll probably build most of it by hand. Of course, there are other railway segments that are that have long straights, and those I'm going to use the robot for, of course, probably with some manual adjustments. But it should be a lot easier with the robot. So, we're going to leave Minecraft for a bit, go to Notepad++, and we're going to make some modifications to the segment program, because this is going to be similar to the other bridge segment construction that I did. We're going to make a copy of the segment program because I'm going to want to keep the old one. And we're going to need to specify a different pattern, of course, because these segments are pretty different. But yes, so I will see you in Notepad++ in just a moment. Alright, so we are back. We are in Notepad++, as you can probably tell. And as you can see, I've made a copy of the segment program and creatively called it segment 2. And we're going to change this. I've already removed most of the program. And I know this way is kind of ugly, but I don't really feel like designing a better system for it. This works. That's fine. So now at the position we placed the robot on, which is going to be its starting position, we're going to want it to place a post beneath itself for connecting the high-speed bridge to the existing bridge. So we're going to do a place, and I've already changed the place function to do a place down. And I am using the robot component and not the robot API, because I feel like it, basically. Because the robot API already has some of these functions that I've recreated for no particular reason. But I'm fine with this. So after placing this block, we are going to move up 1, then do a place. So we're now at height 1. So we place the initial block and at the same height as the existing bridge. The high-speed bridge is 4 blocks higher than the existing bridge. So actually, we're going to want 4 of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That should be 4 places. Yep. Then we're going to have the robot move back 1. I think that is, yes, that is the name of the function. Then we're going to do a place. Then we're going to copy the move back bit. We're going to need 3 of those, because the support distance is 3. So we can't place more blocks than that out from the existing pillar without things starting to collapse. Then we're going to move forward, and we're going to move forward 4. Actually, that would put us above the pillar, I think, so we want to move forward 5. Then we're going to place. Then we're going to move forward 1, do another place, move forward 1 more. So now we're going to be 3 blocks out towards the next pillar. So to get where the next pillar is going to be, we're going to want to move forward 4. and then we're going to move down 4, I think. Now this program doesn't repeat, it just runs once. So I'm probably going to want to change that. We're going to create a new local variable called run, set it to true to start, and then we're going to say while run do, and then end, and then we're going to indent the contents of that. We're going to remove this shutdown, of course. Move this set color actually to the outside of the loop. Move these outside of the loop as well, because those don't need to be run every time, every cycle. At the end here, we're going to do an event poll interrupted local EV for event, and if EV is not nil, then run equals false end. And that should, this event poll will catch pressing Control C, and we're also probably going to want this to time out after 1 second. Not sure why I tried to type 1,000 there. 1,000 seconds would be a little too long to wait. So after each cycle, this is going to wait a second to see if it's going to receive an interrupt event. Actually, we're going to do this. We're going to set this to 3, and just before here, we are going to change the color of the robot light. We're going to move this back in here. And now I happen to have a color picker which can generate colors for use with open computers, which wasn't really for this specifically, but it works. So this is going to be an orange color. So basically, when the robot starts placing blocks, the light is going to turn green. When it's done, it's going to turn orange. It's going to wait 4 seconds now for an interrupt. So this is your chance to stop the robot if you don't want it to continue working after it's done with the segment. If it doesn't receive an interrupt, actually, maybe I want to do this. Actually, this should work. Let's go with that. If it doesn't receive an interrupt, it's going to set EV to nil. And if it is anything other than nil, which means it did receive an interrupted signal or event, it's going to set run to false, which should stop the while loop from running. So let's go back to Minecraft and give this a test run and see what happens. Most likely it will not work first try, because these things usually don't, but we'll see. So I will see you back in Minecraft in just a moment again. Alright, so we are back in Minecraft, as you can probably tell. Now, I haven't added the box parts of the program yet, of course, which you might have noticed, because I want to get the pattern right first, and then we'll go back and add the unboxing code, I suppose you could call it. So we're going to run segment 2. Oh. Well then, apparently you can't write is in an if. I don't know why I thought that would work. So I'm just going to fix that quickly. I don't know why I wrote is. So now it should... Oh. Probably not. Okay, I'll have to use... I thought you could use not. But I guess I'll use the symbol equivalent of that, which is a wavy symbol and a an equal sign like that in Lua. That means not equals to. So I've changed the is not to that. Now it should hopefully work. So now it is placing things. Well, alrighty then. You can see the light turned orange there. Should be waiting. Surely it's been 4 seconds by now. Well, as you can probably tell, that didn't go exactly as planned. Looks like we had it move forward 1 too many, so 4 was too many. We want that to be 3 instead. But other than that, it went pretty well. Now, of course, these are going to collapse if I touch them. Don't really want that to happen. I'm not sure what this is doing. Maybe the event pull... Did I get the parameters wrong? I might have gotten the parameters wrong. Okay, let's do a hard interrupt there, which is pressing Control-Shift-C, I think. I just press Control-Alt-Shift-C, so that has the same effect. Now I'm going to fix the mistake it made, which was technically my mistake by proxy, I suppose. And we're going to fix it by putting a block here. That's going to support this one. So otherwise, this would collapse if I tried to do this. Allows me to break that. Collect that. Now I can put this here. Now the robot is probably 1 block too far forward as well, I would expect. Did that fall? That might have fallen. Or it's up here. You never know with Minecraft entities. No, looks like it fell in the water. I'm not going to jump after it, of course. Just a post. Right, so let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, so it's 1 block too far ahead. I'm just going to go into the Lua prompt, robot move sides back. There we go. So now it's going to be in the right position. I'm going to turn it off, and we're going to go back to Notepad, correct the distance in the in that move forward call, and then we're going to add the unboxing code. So again, I will see you in Notepad++ in just a bit. And we are back. Now I don't have a whole lot of time left, so I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. So we're fixing that move forward, which was one too far. The other ones were correct. Now this, I got the parameters backwards, so the timeout goes first, and the event name goes second. Now this is optional, of course, and I think the interrupted is optional as well, which is why I got confused, because sometimes I put the name first when that's the only parameter. So now we're going to want to do the unboxing code. So simply what we're going to do is, in the place function, before the robot places the block below itself, we're going to do a robot, I think it is count, if I recall correctly. I might have, I don't think this, I should have an example of this in the foundation program where I use this. Let's see, slot check, it's count, and it needs a slot, but that is going to be 1, because we are only interested in slot 1, and it's going to return the amount of items in that slot. So we're going to do if slot count, or robot count, let's see, less than or equals to 0, then robot use. So robot use is going to cause it to right click with whatever is in its equipment slot or tool slot once. So that is going to unpack 8 more posts if it has boxes left. Now, I believe if the if it can't right click, the robot might fail. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start the robot up again, because I want to go into the Lua prompt and see what happens if it tries to right click with nothing in the tool slot, which is what would happen if it used up all the boxes, because we want some way to detect when it's out of boxes, and we want the program to stop and wait for more. So I'm going to pop into the Lua prompt quickly. You can't see this, of course, and do robot use with nothing in its tool slot. I'm going to print the result. Oh, it needs a parameter. I think that is a, it wants a number. So use 1. Gets false. Why does it want a number though? If I put some boxes in and tell it to use 0, no, I don't remember what that does. I should have the API available here. Let's see, there it is. This is the robot API. We want the component. So here, use should be somewhere down here. There. Oh, it's the side, and it's not optional. So I guess that doesn't really matter which side it clicks on with the box. So it can just be 0 for all I care. Now it does return false if it fails, if there is nothing inside of the um, in the slot. So we're going to do a local variable here, local unpacked, and we're going to set it to false to start with, and then we're going to do unpacked equals robot use. So if it succeeded to unpack a box, unpacked is going to be set to true. If it failed, it's going to be false. And if it for some reason didn't set it, it's going to be false as well. Now that of course shouldn't happen, but you never know with programming. So if unpacked, or actually if not unpacked, that should work. You should be able to use not that way, not the way I tried to before. So if unpacked is false, let's see, while robot, while not robot use 0, then OS sleep 1 second. Sure. So what's going to happen now is if the robot detects that the current slot, slot 1, has no items in it anymore, it's going to stop. It's going to try to use a box from its equipment slot or tool slot, put the result of that into this variable. If it managed to unpack a box, it's going to be true. Unpacked is going to be true. It's then going to skip over this bit and just continue placing blocks like usual. If it failed, it's going to go into this if statement. It's going to start this loop, and each loop it's going to try to use its tool again. So it's going to keep trying to right click. If it fails, it's going to go into the loop, do sleep for 1 second, and then it's going to rerun the loop. And since robot use outputs true or false, we can use that directly in the loop without putting it into a variable first. So we're slightly over time now, so we're going to quickly go into Minecraft again and give this thing a test run. If it doesn't work properly, I'm going to fix it off camera and then probably use it. And if it works, that will be great. And that's still going to end the episode, of course. So, I'll see you back in Minecraft in just a second. Alright, so we are back, of course, in Minecraft with the robot right here. And it should be in the correct position. So, as you can see, I've handed it 5 boxes, which I used to test with earlier. And what should happen is when it tries to place a block, which it should do right away, it should detect that it doesn't have anything to place, and it's going to try unpacking a box first. So we're just going to run the segment 2 program, see what happens. Oh, more errors. So, right, I used a then in the loop instead of a do, which was wrong, because I'd just written an if statement. That's probably why I did that. So that should be fixed. Let's try this again. And there you saw it unpacked a box, and still does that, which I don't want exactly. The normal interrupt worked this time, though. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it moved the correct amount of blocks forward. Oh, I changed the wrong move forward. That's why. So that should be fixed now. So if we run this again, whoops, damn it. Okay, to save time, I'm actually just going to fly back up here in creative mode. But now you can see that it works properly. It's kind of interesting how the posts connect to the robot when it's above them. Ah, dang it. But yes, so except for this little glitch over here, which should be fixed now, or is fixed now, you can see that the robot is working correctly. Now you can see that... Why does that keep happening? I can't open the interface. That's weird. That's pretty weird. Is it because it's trying to... or it's running the use? Or is it just too high, I guess? I guess it was just too high. So if I give it more boxes, or more posts, it should continue. It is going to run out of posts again. And since I don't have any more, I'm going to have to give it... Is that right? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Thought it messed up again. So it has one more post, and now it's going to stop. Now if I give it more boxes, it should immediately continue by unpacking a box. So now I can bring it stacks of boxes and just give them to the robot, and it will use them appropriately on its own, which is very nice. So yeah, this is going to be much more efficient, I think, than doing this by hand, of course. So, we are a bit over time. So with that, I'm going to have to end the episode. And again, no idea what we'll do in the next one. Will probably be a surprise for both of us. Ah, dang it. Looks like we're way up here. So yeah. I will just see you next time.